Welcome to the first episode of a new show called R2DA SIP. What's R2DA SIP? Well, R2DA SIP will be covering different topics related to R2DA. I'll be giving my opinions on the topics and mostly just complain about minor things that won't affect anyone except myself. So get your warm mugs ready and let's get sipping. The sleigh was considered by many to be the best mount in game. The only people that you saw that didn't use the mount were because they didn't have it. No other mount could compare to the beast that was the sleigh. But like any other beast, it had to be slain. On update 1.3.5, PR added a new mount, Duck. On the same day, he nerfed the sleigh so that he could lift up the hype for the new mount and get more people to buy his game passes. Most of the player base abandoned the sleigh and started using the duck mount, but not me. I still like the sleigh. I feel like tripping shouldn't keep you away from the sleigh, just make you think more about what you want to do. Of course, if you are on the floor, defenseless, against zombies, then you are going to die. But chances are, you are probably going to be using the sleigh to escape the zombies, not find them. If you travel from one side of the map to the other, there are either A, going to be zombies but survivors to protect you, or B, no zombies at all, as zombies only spawn when there are players nearby. In any of these two situations, the threat is minimum. You're going to be fine. Now you could still say that despite the sleigh still being very useful, the duck is just better. If you think that, then all I can do is respect your opinion or talk about why you are wrong. The duck and the sleigh are two completely different mounts that are mostly used in different situations. The duck is useful for the small maps or the maps with tall structures, while the sleigh can be used in bigger maps when you have lots of space. I think that people should change the mount that they are going to be using depending on the map. Instead of deciding what the best overall mount is and using that for the rest of your existence, you should consider while on the menu how you're going to be playing that round and what the best mounts are for that playstyle. So in conclusion, and based on my beliefs, both mounts are great and you should consider using them both. Of course, you don't have to, but I always have to emphasize that it's an opinion because then I get a bunch of people mad at me because the Brute is the most expensive zombie. It's also the one with the highest health. It's also the one with the greatest reward. It's also the rarest naturally spawning zombie. Overall, we can see that according to stats, the Brute is the best zombie. Despite that, the community still considers him weak compared to other zombies. On most common situations, the Brute isn't great. At the start of the game, it gets instantly mauled by a bunch of full HP survivors. On the end of the game, he is too slow to catch the survivors that are trying to get as far away as possible from the hordes. If he is hiding behind a wall, he gets insta-killed by explosives. When he's on open ground, he dies instantly. When in long range, he can barely hit targets and gets sniped or shot with a rocket. On close range, he gets kicked and is defenseless. The only time when the Brute actually works is when the survivors don't know where he is or are not expecting him. But he is a larger than usual neon green target with giant hitboxes that walk slower than what it takes your P to release mod apps. He is not the best zombie in R2DA. It's time to buff the Brute. If you want to buff the Brute, then you have to be cautious of not replicating the charged Brute, or else it will make the charged Brute useless. This suggestion is not trying to be the simplest way of buffing the Brute, but the most unique way of doing so to avoid copying the charged Brute. Firstly, to buff the Brute, we should give it a chance of survivability. Now, the reasonable thing to do in this situation is just increase its health, but we already did that. In a situation where everyone is fighting the Brute, health doesn't matter. He could have 10,000 health and will still be killed easily like any R2DA boss. Instead of just increasing its health, we should give it protection from explosives, like the Fog Vest. It makes sense both physically and gameplay wise. Most of the time, when I see a Brute spawn, I see rockets flying towards him to eliminate the threat. The rockets would now be useless and will push the survivors to go fight the Brute up close. This means that the survivors can still take down the Brute easily if they give some effort, and the Brute can still defend itself by hiding behind walls. Secondly, just remove the force field cooldown. I don't know why PR added it. Like, I never had a problem with it. I never saw anyone complain about it. Like, if you were actually complaining about the force field, tell me. Like, I am actually curious. I also feel that the brute should walk at normal speeds. Every single zombie that's not the brute has a sprint or charge ability that makes them faster. Yet the brute has the opposite. He is lower than normal. Giving him normal speeds will make it easier for him to get into cover faster. Lastly, I would like to remove all knockback abilities to the brute. This would let the brute have a bigger chance at close range combat, instead of being useless when kicked. Those are my suggestions on how the brute should be buffed, without making it too much like its older brother. This suggestion is open up for discussion, so comment down below if you think that my idea is completely useless or if the brute shouldn't be buffed. This last topic isn't going to be anything specific about the game, at least for now. Since I want to get the community involved in these kinds of videos, I'm going to let anyone ask a question or suggest a topic about R2DA. The place where you can put the topic suggestions will be on my Discord server, link in the description. I will do as many topics as I want to, depending on how many suggestions interest me. I will start using suggestions in my next video. Thank you guys for watching the first ever episode of R2DA Sip.